When you're a jet, all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. When you're a jet, you stay a jet.
A jet.
Blake and I are going to be in a West Side Story production in Pakistan. I want to live in Pakistan. I want to live in Pakistan.
Welcome back to episode 7 or 8. I forget because it's been like 2 months of the Blake and Zepp show.
It's been a while.
The Blake and Zepp talk show. I almost said Blake and Zepp show, which is another YouTube channel you should check out.
And actually,
we both run.
True.
So it's been a while, but today we're going to do it during breakfast. Well, Zepp already ate before I got up.
I was hungry.
I don't blame him. When you're hungry, you're hungry.
Plus, I was eating corned beef hash with sunny side up eggs and toast, which wouldn't translate very well to a talk show.
No.
Trust me. If
you've ever seen, I don't know if I've ever seen that to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Corned beef hash.
I've heard that before. The word hash. This is spontaneous. We never planned on talking about this. The word hash is funny.
I've got some good corned beef hash, man.
I got some
Try
good
it.
hash. But I love the word hash.
You'd be like, Blake, you were soliciting hash on the high school grounds, but it was corned beef hash.
Corned beef hash.
But the talk show today is talking about a few subjects we pre-planned.
Yes, we pre-planned.
One, we're going to get it up. No. One is a friend of ours who actually of mine, but he was a family friend who passed away a few years ago, young age. His name was Bill. That's all we'll say, Bill.
We won't say his last name.
But he has funny stories. I might have related one of his crazy stories over the years on the talk show. But Blake and I were talking about a story of his. It was like deadly serious at the time, but super funny now. You think about it. We were at a movie theater seeing Hannibal with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. It was his second movie, Hannibal. And that was so he had this big lunch with me where he drank all this beer. And he always had eye trouble, like really bad eyesight. As a matter of fact, in Las Vegas one time, he didn't recognize my friend and I at the bar. He had gone up to the room to get something or his wallet or whatever. And when he came back down to the bar, my friend and I go, "Oh, here's Bill." And he wasn't seeing us. So I was like, as a joke, I said, don't say anything. Don't see if he recognizes us. Don't say. And he walked right up to us like this. He was like, and we didn't say anything. So he just turned and walked. I'm like, he couldn't recognize us from a foot away. That's how bad his eyesight was.
Yeah.
So getting back to the Hannibal movie, and I used to drive in this guy's car when I was younger. Didn't know his eyesight was bad. I used to be in his car and I'd be like, whew, that was a close call. I'm like, Bill, you're heading right for that guardrail. It's like a cliff. It was like a cliff and a guardrail. I'm like, Bill, you're heading right for the guardrail.
Tired.
So I never drove with him once I found out he had bad eyesight. But anyway, Hannibal Lecter, the movie. We're in the theater. And near the end of the movie, Bill just goes like this. And I'm like, what is he doing? What? I'm like, stop acting up, something like that. So Hannibal is frying this guy's brain at the table. This little piece of a guy's brain he's making with a wine sauce and shallots.
Ew.
And it's a really incredible, gross scene. And I look at Bill and he's just normal, And then after the movie, the end credits and the lights come on a little bit in the theater. And I go, and Bill goes to me, "I'm blind."
First of all, that's something you want to hear.
I'm going to tell you the serious side of this. I was like, what are you talking about? You're blind? You're blind. I mean, can you see blurs? Can you see? I'm like, what do you see? Black? He's like, yes. He was so calm. I'm like, wait a minute. You see blackness when you open your eye. Right now, you're seeing black. And he didn't flinch at all when I was going this. I'm like, oh my God. I was so devastated. And I was like, okay, I'll get you an ambulance, Bill. And I'm thinking to myself, as I'm walking out of the movie theater, I'm thinking, I can't believe it. Bill's eyes have finally gone. You know, they've gone. And he'll never drive again. He'll never go anywhere again. I'll be going over his house. And I go to the guy at the popcorn stand. He was the first guy. The theater was deserted. There's one young kid at the popcorn area, with the candy and the popcorn. I'm like, excuse me, my friend has just gone blind and he's like, what? Every single person, when you say the word blind, that's the first reaction. That was my reaction.
What?
This kid, he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, my friend, he's gone blind. He's had eye trouble his whole life. You're going to have to call an ambulance for him. He's just baffled, this kid. He's probably his first day on the job. He's like,
yeah.
God, I thought I would just be making popcorn here. Now I got to deal with a blind guy.
Hopefully he's okay.
So he was like, all right, I'll call the ambulance for you. And I'm like, Bill. So I go back into the theater to be with Bill till the ambulance gets there. And Bill is walking out of the theater as I'm coming in. I'm like, Bill. He's like, I can see. Oh, but what the? You can see. I'm like, Bill, I just told him to call an ambulance, man. You better go get checked out. And he didn't have good health insurance. So he's like, no, I'm not getting in that ambulance. They'll charge me $1,000 just to take a ride in that. I'm like, so you can see right now, perfectly fine. He's like, yes, you can see perfectly fine. Yes. I'm like, Bill,
it's
man.
His eyesight just came back.
His eyesight came back, and I think he thinks, and I think what happened was he had hysterical blindness from that. He'd fallen asleep in the theater. And when he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was this guy sitting at a dinner table with the top of his head removed and just his brain, and he was still alive, and Hannibal was taking a little piece of the brain and sauteing it. And it caused him to have hysteria. He said he felt instantly nauseous, and the next thing he knew, he was blind.
Oh.
Never had that occur ever again in his life, and this was when Hannibal came out in 2001.
Yeah.
So it was a rarest. So we just leave the theater. So what must have happened was the ambulance shows up where's the blind guy?
You guys should have waited around the corner.
No, we just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know? So the ambulance shows up. The guy at the counter is probably yeah, I mean, he said there was a blind guy in the movie theater. And then they probably searched from theater to theater blind guy. Blind guy.
Where are you?
I mean, who knows?
Are you in here?
That's one of those things where you never know what happened after you left the scene. But that's the Bill story. I wrote a Bill report based on a vacation we took. From the time this vacation started till the end, there was 1 million incidents. My friend was nice enough to pick us up at the airport, and then halfway home, he's like, I don't have my wallet. And my friend's like, whoa, you don't have your wallet. And I'm like, Bill, where is it? He's like, I think it's at the airport bar.
Now that's another scary occurrence.
Yeah.
Not only
you're in and out. Yeah, you take a whole entire trip and you don't have your wallet, which has your money for the whole entire trip.
Your cards.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to get into Disneyland, Universal Studios? So this was out in L.A. So anyway, my friend turns around. It's a major pain in the neck to get off the L.A. freeway, turn around, and head back to the airport. So we're heading back to the airport, and we're like, we hope it's there. We hope. And Bill's like, oh, here it is. I'm like, Bill. My friend was I'll tell you what, everyone I knew in L.A. was the chillest human being on the nothing would get people mad out there, man. I never saw anger. It'd be like, wow, that earthquake really caused that building to collapse.
They're not just
pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really. I was in an earthquake in LA. I think we talked about that.
I think we did.
The Dolby sound, but so that's our 2 Bill stories for today.
Yeah.
Do we have another Bill story?
Oh yeah, the one where his finger.
Wow, that's an epic story. We'll tease that.
Just it involves a finger.
One time we went to a Chinese. I'll tell the story. It's so short. One time we went to a Chinese restaurant with Bill, and he was getting out of the car. And everyone was getting out of the car, and everyone shut their doors, and I hit my power locks. I just had this car. I just got it. It was the first car I ever had with power locks like that, with a keyless. So all of a sudden, we turn around, and Bill's like, my finger's in the door. And he was like, Bill had this calmness. He could be getting his hand cut off by a chainsaw. He'd be like, my hand's being cut off by a chainsaw. He was just like, my finger's in the door. And I look over, and I see his 2 fingers in a door. Like, imagine a car door closed, but you see fingers poking out. I mean, it was like a cartoon image. Like, Bill had a balloon hand.
Yeah.
It was his hand was as flat as his fingers were as flat as a quarter. And I'm like, Bill! Everyone was panicking, but Bill wasn't panicking. So I hit the wrong... I just got this car. I'm hitting the wrong button on the locks. I'm locking it. I'm unlocking... I mean, so finally we get it open. And I'm like, Bill. He's like, I'm all right. And then we're like, well, we don't seem to have anything broken. You know,
that's good,
good. So let's go inside the restaurant. So we go inside the Chinese restaurant. And like 10 minutes later, like when we're eating our food, he suddenly goes, he had like a delayed reaction to the incident, man. He was like white as a sheet, sweating. I was like, Bill, calm down, man. It's like 10 minutes later. You're out of harm's way. I mean, now you have like this system in your body where you react to something 10 minutes later. That was weird.
Now, did you get an update? Now, I never asked you this.
Nothing was wrong with that.
So
hand.
nothing, no broken fingers?
No, and my dad had his fingers smashed as flat as a quarter once also. In a raccoon trap we set out. And we were crazy kids. We had raccoons eating our garbage and messing around at our property, so we put a raccoon trap out stupidly. And, like, we never told my dad we put it out there. So there was, like, this... like a pile of lettuce, like the lure the raccoon, which I didn't even know what to lure him with. We would have lured a bunny rabbit, for God's sake. So anyway, my dad sees this like mess on his lawn, and he goes to pick up this. He's like, "What are those kids doing?" And he reaches down to pick up the pile of lettuce, and the raccoon trap closes on his hand. And my dad was in so much pain, and we weren't even home. We were at my aunt's house, so he was all alone. And to make matters worse, we chained the raccoon trap to like this big heavy wooden table where he couldn't escape. So my dad is yelling in the neighborhood like, help! Help!
So when you came home, did you like see him?
Oh, I was almost in tears. I mean, it was sad. I mean, because but when we got back, he finally ripped the chain out of the. We had it nailed to the. He ripped it out. He couldn't. I mean, those traps are a little tricky to open. You have to like open these Anyway, so he called on the phone. He's like, "Those bastards are killing me. What are they doing?
They're trying to kill me."
Oh my God! I'm like, Dad, no! So we rushed back to my house in my uncle's car. And I instantly, second I got there, I knew how to take it. I was like, and he's like, and I'm like, it was purple and it was flat as a quarter, but then 10 minutes later, it was restored once again, nothing broken.
Well, that's good.
And he forgave me being the good dad that he was. But I mean, it was so when you're a kid, think of an outcome. Say to yourself, okay, I'm putting this trap out to catch a raccoon, which is bad in itself. You know, let the pros do that. Plus, I mean, raccoons in your neighborhood going through your garbage, I mean, that's almost like they're not trespassing, really. You shouldn't kill them.
Yeah.
But anyway, just think like, well, maybe a cat will come across. I'll be responsible for a cat's death.
Yeah.
Or I'll be responsible for a bunny rabbit's death. You know, and in a way, it was good maybe my father got it because it didn't happen to a cat, which I would have felt terrible about. You know, stupid things you do as a kid.
Just think about, like, if I do this, this
think of the outcome.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my rant. And good thing I had a giant cup of coffee today because I never would have pulled that off, that whole rant.
Yeah. So, let's talk about things.
Yeah, do you know what this is, folks?
This is a ball from a silver ball. First of all, let's take a look at all angles.
It's true.
Look at the side angle. Look at all this.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So this is the Phantasm ball. It's a silver ball from the Phantasm movies. And it came with this box set of all 5 movies. Here it is. Here's the side. Here's the back with all 5 movies listed there. Blu-ray. It's on Blu-ray. Here's the other side. Here's the front.
Let's get a good look.
Phantasm
of
box.
The side.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
Now, if you know this franchise, it's a great franchise. the tall man.
The tall man.
And the three friends who try to beat the tall man at his mortuary. It's crazy stuff going on in this movie.
Crazy. And the movies started in, I think, 1979. And they all go all the way until 2016. Which is the longest gap in a movie for.
That's like 37 years.
Star
Wars would be.
Star Wars, yeah, would be.
And if you want to see it, and you have Comcast Xfinity,
yes,
it's on Peacock.
Peacock.
For free.
For free.
So watch Phantasm 1, 1979 or 8. And the ball will surprise you because it's like a sentry in the tall man's mortuary. And if you're in there trespassing, they should actually market these kind of things nowadays. They fly at you and they stick in your head,
but then
and a drill comes out.
They should have added the drill.
Yeah, the drill would have been cool.
Oh yeah.
And it drills you, it kills you pretty much, as a good sentry will do. Who needs a doggy as a guard dog?
I know when you have this,
that.
Like a burglar breaks
in. Phantasm. So yeah, just talk in your remote. Go, Phantasm. And it'll come up like that did. But I'll tell you, we have a weird. I don't know if everyone's Xfinity's control is like this, but. It does. If I talk completely normal, it doesn't understand a word I'm saying.
Oh, it mixes up your words.
Yeah, if I talk in like a weird, strange, like phantasm, it understands that. Well, now it actually put up Spider-Man costume when I said phantasm.
It said Spider-Man costume.
Spider-Man. Now it says palm.
Palm.
I mean, most of the time this was reversed. I think they've improved. They must have done an upgrade. Because I swear, if I talk like a German, like Empire Strikes Back, it would understand. If I would just be Empire Strikes. Oh, you see, it did come up. It understood a German accent.
Yeah.
But Empire Strikes Back. That worked.
It worked, but
I think they did an upgrade on this or something.
Because it would never work. It would be like... Yeah. It would say something else.
You would have to talk in like a weirdest sound. Like, it's really weird. But as you probably know from using this, it sometimes works.
If you do have it.
But the other thing about these remotes, this is a conspiracy. I'm revealing it to you for the first time. I was going to do a separate video on this. But I have a battery tester, and every time it says low batteries, I test them. One is completely dead, and one is full. So what this thing does is kills only one battery, and the other battery is still good. So it'll say your batteries are dead. You don't have a battery tester, so you throw both batteries away, put two new ones in, when you really only have to take the dead one out.
And then put a new one
Move the good one over to the one side. It's always the same side, too. I can't remember now, but it's either left or right. It always drains one side first. It's a conspiracy to sell more batteries. And Comcast is in cahoots with the battery manufacturers. Yeah. And I'm calling for an immediate investigation by the President himself of the United States of America. If Hoover was still around, J. Edgar Hoover, or the FBI, he would get to the bottom of this.
He would. He would crack the code.
This is as big as the mafia was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
I love that. But most people don't even have a battery tester. Yeah. So they would be like you said, they're like, oh, both are dead.
They're very cheap on eBay. As a matter of fact, I got mine from overseas, China, for like, at the time, it was probably like $3, $4, $5. You can get the cheapest things in China from like, though, once again, I really don't want to support China, the government of China, because of the virus, the coronavirus, but you're really supporting like the citizens of China, which I'm 100% for when you buy things on eBay. They're selling electronics and cables.
I bought a lot of most of my plush toys. For example, this one, obviously from the... Yeah. Well, this plush was like made for China, but we got it from China.
True, it was cheap.
Most plushies we got from China. Most of them.
Right.
So, fun fact of the day.
All right, foods to try in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Wise hot popcorn, which is, once again, backwards.
But it's Wise hot popcorn.
Sour, big, chewy nerds.
These would make my mouth water.
They're good. Of course, the classic, the OG.
Oh, yes, first that.
hot tamales, man. Cinnamon will naturally wake you up a little bit. So if you're driving and you're tired, cinnamon mints, cinnamon gums, hot tamales will wake you up.
Cinnamon, yes, anything. Oreo cake strews, they recently came back. They haven't been around for like 10 years. But they recently came back.
And last but not least,
these.
Werther's caramel filled.
These are these are caramel filled hard candies. These are amazing.
And that?
They're amazing.
And that's all I have to say about that.
So, that's snacks that you should buy today. Thank you guys for watching episode 7 or 8, I forget.
Blake's a ham and egger.
Yes, this is ham and eggs, and I also have toast, which I completely forgot about.
Cold toast.
Cold toast.
Toast gets colder faster than any food group in the history of the world. No matter what you make, toast will get coldest the fastest. You can make an egg, ham, whatever.
Toast will be
cold in like 10 seconds.
But hope you enjoyed, hope we made you laugh on episode 7 or 8. Again, can't remember, of the Blake and Zep Talk Show. If you enjoyed the video, comment, like, and subscribe. We love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace-a-rooney.